Hey everybody, it's David Skirika. First time in a while back here at the beach. Swelling pretty good. Back here. Wow. Beautiful. You can see the beach is really flattened out. That's from all those storms. You know, Ian was even a little to the kind of north of us and east because when it ran up there, it caused swells on the Atlantic side when it went up near South Carolina. So what's happened is all that rain, storms have kind of just flattened out the whole beach. Because remember before when I would walk it, there'd be these dunes and stuff. I have to get up here in the dry part. Anyhow, yeah, so the market's 2 big days of rallies. I think basically about 2-3% each. I expected a rally about the mid. I didn't expect it that big because I didn't expect the same, I guess you could say battle cry as the rally of the summer. That the Fed is going to pivot. They're not going to pivot. Something really bad. First of all, something's got to blow up or something really bad has to happen for them to pivot. Stocks being whatever 20% off their highs is not causing the Fed to pivot, especially with inflation where it is right now. So, and actually, this is the kind of catch-22 or the ironic world we live in, or some people call it a clown world, that when the market rallied today, like when it was at its lows on Fridays, we started getting to like 50-50 of the November meeting being 50 or 75. We went to like 70% today. Of it's 70% today, that it's like gonna be 75, and it looked like it did go down to 425 to 450 being the top of the Fed's fund rate when the market was at its lows. Now it's back to 450 to 475 sometime next year. So it just shows you this is like, it's the total irony, like I said, catch-22, that stock bulls think, oh, some weak PMIs came out. There was the job opening thing index came way down today. It was one of the biggest 1-month drops I think ever. I think that's the second biggest. But it's still very high historically. There were 600,000 dropping. So we're probably seeing the labor market slow down. So they're taking that as pivot. But you look at the bond market, and actually the bonds ended up selling off. Not huge, but everything was rallying early in the day. And the bond market's telling you, the 2-year treasury is still 410, which still tells me we got about 100 basis points left minimum. At the minimum, the 75 that's going to happen in November. So, just kind of hilarious. Everyone's calling for this pivot, and actually, when the equity markets go up in hope of it, it actually makes it a bigger chance they won't pivot. I don't think they are. Remember, I don't know what the inflation data will look like for September because oil is only one thing, but we did have oil go down again. So I think it may be not that horrible, but we're seeing oil rebound. And that's another issue too. When you talk about pivot or the whatnot, well, then you have risk on trades and commodities go up and oil goes up. Well, that means, whatever. And the thing too about commodities is this cycle is really different because inventory and production and CapEx was not spent. Because usually, say after that 2020 COVID bottom, when you look at all commodity prices, when they all went crazy into 2021, you would have a huge amount of mining and drilling and whatever going on to get this stuff out of the ground. But we didn't see that, and the reason being, there were COVID restrictions. Mines were some of the worst places for COVID because you're in a place that's kind of, I don't know, like compact or whatever. So anyhow, it's just, and COVID gets spread fast in a mine or whatever. So to be honest, I don't think I'm gonna walk much more. It's just not the greatest day for walking. Like, the ocean's really swelling. it's high tide, and it's not even that the ocean's higher than usual or anything. It's the way the beach is shaped without the dune. The water's coming up way too high, which either makes this like you halfway sink in it, or this crap up here is terrible because, you know, this is what really pisses me off more than whatever people talk about climate change or rising oceans, is this crap. You see all this plastic crap and bottles and the things that jerk offs throw off their boats and stuff. It's really disgusting. And there's no land here till Africa, by the way. So, like, you know, the stuff that anyone throws off their boat there is going to wash up here, right? You know, anyhow, I just don't think I'm going to do it because it's not fun, actually. I'm either running around seaweed and junk, or I'm halfway sinking in. So, you know, I took a longer walk to the beach anyhow, so I think I'll just walk a little while longer. But anyhow, yeah, so that's basically it. We did see gold and silver rally, which is good, and for my paying members, we recommended a couple stocks. I'll give you an example. Eldorado was one of them. It's actually, you know, gone up the last few days since I talked about it. But like, I still can't get huge on gold and silver until it starts rallying with the market. Like if you go look at 2008, go look at early 2008. There was a couple of huge up days after the TARP bill was passed, and gold and silver had huge rallies, almost back to the highs. Went back to 900. The high was 1,000, and then they tanked again. So I can't get too into that kind of sort of thing, you know, here. So anyhow, and I think at some point bad news is going to become bad news. Okay, we're in this little lull now where people are like, oh, the PMIs are weak. Oh, there's job openings. That means the Fed can, you know, start to pivot. Funny things, the Fed members even said they may have to cause a recession to get inflation down. So that they were saying that's not even going to bother them. You know, part of the thing they want down is they actually probably want less employment anyhow to bring down demand. And like I said, it's just the problem is now with these commodities. And remember, we've seen this huge rally in the US dollar. You know, the US dollar has come off. I still think there's going to be one more rally here because, you know, especially in the euro, pound may have bottomed because that was kind of a panic, total fear bottom, you know. So, but, and they got rid of the tax cuts, which are going to help the deficit a bit. Oh, there's more reasons. That's the oversimplification of why the pound went down. So anyhow, you know, the euro I still think has huge problems because of what's going to happen this winter with energy. Like they're saying in Europe they have enough energy if it's a mild winter. Well, the Farmer's Almanac and all these things are calling for a cold winter, right? And by the way, ironically, because it's Germany saying that, the reason the Germans lost the war was when they went into Russia, one of their reasons they did it in World War II is that there had been 2 very bitter winters. And they just bet, the guy who was like, whatever, the German meteorologist at the time, he just basically bet that, you know, they can't have 3 in a row. And they did. So, and also remember, the way they're going to get around it, in terms of getting by, you're talking about shutting down industry, you're talking about burning coal, you know, instead of natural gas like they usually do, all of these sort of things. So, anyhow, so I think the euro actually still has to go lower. And if you go look at the way the dollar topped in 2001, it took like a year to top into 2002. That's another thing too. People just think, they say you are bullish on the euro or bearish on the dollar for whatever reason. It's not like this was such a huge run. I don't think this is just going to be up and straight down. It's going to probably take, you know, 3-6 months for the dollar to top out, and the euro will find some kind of range. Let's say 96 is the downside and 105 is the upside, and it'll like bounce between that range and top out, or bottom out, and the dollar will top out. So anyhow, so I'll just leave it at that. So, you know, what's funny is a lot of my accounts didn't even go down, even with my short positions. So I still have, it's a smaller bit because I sold months and months ago some of these things, but I still have a lot of precious metals and mining stocks just because I do think, like, I think what's happening, I talked about the Fed, I think that the Fed tightening and raising the dollar has helped suppress the prices of those things. But if you go look how much those commodities are off, considering how much the dollar is up, it's a pretty small sell-off, especially in oil and gas. So, you know, I think I'm going to leave it at that. Like I said, this was a much shorter, although the video was still 10 minutes. walk than usual because, because of the way the ocean's hitting the beach. It's just not really conducive for a nice walk, but it's okay. Because I took a longer route. One issue with living here is I know probably a lot of you are dog people. I'm not a huge dog person. I like dogs, but I'm definitely more of a cat guy. And I don't know. These people, I think even if you were a dog person, you wouldn't like this. Like these people that live around here, a lot of them are kind of hippie types. And they let their dogs just kind of run around the road in front of their houses out of leash. And I'm walking down and they start barking at you. And most of the dogs are harmless, but I still don't like dogs, especially when there's 2 or 3 together, like in a little pack, barking at me, So, whatever. So I took this long route so I would avoid the dogs. And these dogs are crazy too, by the way. They run up to my house. The other day, I was in my bedroom, and thank God I walked into my living room to get something, and I had my living room door open, just my sliding door open to let breeze in. These 2 damn dogs came right onto my right into my right up to my front of my house, and I just told them, just yelled at them, and they ran off. But anyhow, this guy here is surfing. Looks like he's getting ready for the Olympics. But anyhow, I can see the ocean does look beautiful. But I'm gonna leave it at that, and we'll have more on the market. So the beach walks will definitely start again. I'm gonna come at a different time too. I came later today because of some issues I had with a lot of work today.